You are now listening to the Artsindy Crossroads show. Here,
One Garo, Stargate Atlantis.
Nick, and if you personally keep supporting the film like you have, then it'll all go great. So thanks again.
Gary Chalk.
voice of Optimus Prime.
Transform and roll out.
Ruth Moody, the Wailing Jenny.
You're so welcome. Take care.
Karen LeBlanc, the star of Nurse, the fighter boy.
Hi, Nick. I'm really good, and thank you for asking me.
People in film, theater, music, the arts.
I like your Intergress because it's casual, and it's real, it's down to earth, and it suits Hastings Street right here, right now.
A good early evening to everyone here in the Valley. You're listening to Civil Radio 101.7 FM, broadcasting to the Fraser Valley from the UFV Abbotsford campus on the traditional and unceded territory of the Stolo people.
A good early evening to everyone here in the Valley. Hopefully everybody is comfortable and being positive, and just stay inside, be safe, and we'll all get through this together. One of the things you can do is produce art. I have an interview with Gilles, Cyrenne, coordinator for the Downtown Eastside writing group. And maybe that's one of the things you can do when you're stuck inside is maybe do some writing. Some people are doing some painting, catching up on their reading and listening to interviews online. Yeah, so Gilles talks about the unique energy of this writing group, how special it is. It's been around for a while. Actually, he took it over. Used to be the Thursday Writing Collective. Now it's called the Downtown Eastside Writers Group. And this group has had published anthologies, new chapbook coming out this year. Yeah, I talk a little bit in this interview. Yeah, we talk about how writing is cathartic. So I know people are stuck inside and kind of feel, but you can use that tension, you might have to maybe write. It's really interesting what kind of art, the anxiety, tension, what kind of art you produce. It's really unique and it can be very cathartic. That's a perspective. Anyways, I hope you enjoy this interview with Gilles Cyrenne, and he gives links to the writing group. And a new song from Jarrod Tyler, the Jarrod Tyler Band, London Bridge, that's near the end. And everybody be safe out there. Keep your distance. Pray and hope everyone is safe out there. Loved ones are safe. Listen, right now we are on the line with Gilles Cyrenne, coordinator for the Downtown Eastside Writers Group at the Main and Carnegie, Main and Hastings at the Carnegie Center. Thank you so much, Gilles, so much for taking the time to do this interview.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
And you took over from the Thursday Writing Collective. That actually ended. Yeah, before for 10 years when it was coordinated by Ellie Gardner, it was called the Thursday Writing Collective?
Yeah, Thursday's Writing Collective. And then it was coordinated by Ellie for about 8 years, and then Amber Dawn coordinated for a year, and then two other people coordinated it for another year, but then everybody moved on to other stuff. And so it was going to end, and some of us kept on wanting to write together, so we organized Downtown Eastside Writers Collective and kept it going.
The original Thursday Writing Collective, coordinated by Ellie Gardner and then later by Amber Dawn for a short time. For a year. There were anthologies put out by Ellie and I believe Amber. But so you've taken over, Gilles, and they laid the foundation, but it's just what you have going. You bring in speakers every week. Yeah, workshops on travel writing, free writing, and approaches to sparking your creativity. That sounds kind of a little bit cheesy. I mean, there are so many specific things you've brought people in. Yeah, it's taken on a new life. Again, Ellie and Amber laid the foundation, but Yeah, there's so many unique things that were there in the beginning, before you took over, and now. Yeah, can you talk a little bit about this writing group? From your perspectives, what makes it so unique?
Well, I do it a little bit differently than what Ellie and Aberdon did. They mostly led the writing every Thursday, and occasionally had another writer or poet come in and lead us. But I'm not really qualified to do that. Maybe I do lead it once or twice every semester. But I get, different Vancouver poets and writers to come and lead us. And what we do is we get a prompt and we write for about 10 or 15 minutes, and then we share if we want to. And, we've gotten everybody, we've got a lot of people doing different things, people doing haiku workshops or haibun workshops, writing about place, writing about time, writing about character, how to do dialogue. Every author that comes in has their own particular perspective and thing that they want to do, and everybody that does come in and lead us always leaves seemingly anyway. They all seem to be really, really happy, and they love coming to lead Downtown Eastside Writers Collective. I go to different writing events and book launches and stuff like that, and meet people and ask people to come and lead us, and I've never had anybody turn me down. So it's like I say, we write for 10 or 15 minutes and then share if we want to, but we don't have to. People are not forced to read.
One thing about the group is been involved off and on for the last, 9 years. Oh, actually, 9 years. It brought a lot. It brings a lot out of the writer, like for someone to go there, because that inclusive nature that the group has, and nobody's discouraged from for being honest in their writing.
Yeah, no, we're really, everybody's really accepting and really good. We honor one another's creativity. We listen, we encourage, we don't allow put downs. It's 99% like really, really good communication. I mean, we've had one or two glitches, but generally it's really good. I had a couple of people tell me, people who've been involved in a lot of different writing groups, to tell me that this is the first group they've been into that has so little ego. We're just not trying to blow our own horn. We get to read what we've written, and that's good, and then we get to listen to other people read. But no, it seems like nobody's on a big ego trip or anything. We're just there to care and share with each other, and it works out. Well, like I said, 99% of the time, it's like really, really good.
The culture of the Downtown East Side writing group is such that people can be uninhibited, whatever they're feeling, total honesty in their writing, and it brings so much out of people. I know it's brought so much out of my writing, and kind of a approach I take now, since then, doing free writes every day since 2012, so 8 years. And one thing is I apply from the writing group is honesty, because I see a lot of people, I can tell in the beginning when they're kind of new, and then people have been there for a while. In my perspective, just that honesty on being able to unload everything uninhibited, whatever issue they're dealing with. But you see how they produce that unique art.
Yeah, there's just a lot of acceptance, and a lot of we really not. Yeah, it's beyond acceptance. It's acceptance for sure, and it's honoring one another's writing, one another's spirit that goes into the writing. A lot of caring. People bring up like really personal issues sometimes, and that really gets respected and listened to. There's just something about that group that there's been a lot over the years. I guess a lot of trust has built up between the people that have been there for a long time. And so people that come in that are new can kind of get the just get that culture, that vibe, whatever you want to call it, of acceptance. Seems to communicate itself really quickly, and people who are new fit in, really soon. There's not a very long adjustment period before you start hearing people's deep secrets, and that's really good. It seems that the trust we've developed translates itself to new people, fairly quickly. And there's something, about, I don't know what it is, but there's something about writing in a group that just seems to create its own energy and encourage. I don't know if it's a certain kind of creativity, but there's just something about the energy in the room that brings out really good writing most of the time, or a lot of the time.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And the people you bring in, the guest people to put on the workshops, they really appreciate the experience too of being able to come there and experience this kind of energy. In your opinion, I'll ask it anyway. I think I know the answer, but do you believe writing is cathartic? It can kind of unload a lot of issues for people. It can really help in the process of dealing with pain or grief.
Yeah, it can be. I don't know. It can be. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I've had, there have been people in the group that have, broken out in tears with their writing, and which I think is a healing thing. And other people have stood up on chairs and yelled and screamed, and and just expressed right from the bottom of their hearts and their guts what's going on with their lives. And I think it can be a really healing thing. And I'm finding in my own writing that like I do morning pages, which is a kind of free writing, that as soon as if there's something that if I get this tinge in my brain that says, oh, we don't want to go there, then I know I should go there.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah,
it's like it's a real process of knowing oneself. It's a process of cultivating self-knowledge, which I think is always a good thing. Writing brings art. Well, all art does that. I think all art in some way brings us to who we really are. And, I think creativity is liberating and healing.
I don't know, maybe this is a frivolous thing, but you notice, Gilles, if you're writing something on some prompt or some idea you have, and if you stop, and even like for like a minute or two, and then go back to it, your thought process, what you're writing about is different, a little bit different. You notice that?
Yeah. I mean, that's one of the things that I catch myself doing my morning pages. I'll stop and think, and then on the next line I write, I said, "Oh, thinking too much. This is not what this is about. This is about getting to the bottom of the third page." So just keep the pen moving, and let the words come one after the other, and build on each other, and I find that. When I'm doing that, I don't want to stop and think. I just want to keep it going. And, and sometimes I get some poetry starts to come, so I'll write 3 or 4 or 5 lines, and then I catch myself stopping to think about what the next line is going to be. Then I just go back to doing my blah, 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 random morning pages, free writing stuff.
Yeah, the thing is, we can edit later. Like, that's something I learned from the group, is those free writes is just amazing what comes out if you just keep writing, and then if you go back to it later and edit it, and then that's...
Yeah. Well, editing's a different process. Writing is the creative process. You don't worry about word order and subordinate clauses and periods and punctuation and spelling and all that stuff. Forget it. Forget about it, that stuff. Just let the ideas come out, and don't censor yourself. And that's one of the great things about free writing, is that you learn to shut down that censor in our brain. We all have this thing in our brain that keeps saying, "Oh, that's no good. Oh, what are you talking about?" Or "That's ridiculous." And all these self put downs that are going on all the time in what I call the monkey brain. And I think free writing helps us to defeat the monkey brain. And then later on, then later on you can come back to it and say, oh, okay, well, and be more objective and say, okay, well, that line, that sentence is pretty good. That one's not so good. That one needs work. This can be fixed. That one will just get rid of it. Like they say in one of the things say you got to be ready to murder your babies, so called. Sometimes you look at stuff you've written, it is just garbage. But the free writing gives you the permission to write garbage, and it's okay because it's just for yourself, if you want it to be. And it doesn't matter. We're not full of wisdom all the time, We've got a lot of crap that needs to come out there, and then we realize, oh well, that's not so good, so I don't need to keep it.
When you do that, that's also a different kind of writing, because then you'll do when you're doing edits, you'll fix something, then you'll add something in there, and you'll come up with an idea. And I've heard often it's using a different side of the brain.
Oh yeah. No, editing is the logical part of the brain, and free writing is the creative, intuitive part of the brain. Two completely different process. Yeah, it's like, I don't know what I can, comparison. It's like, the difference between a walk in the woods and sitting down and doing math.
Yeah.
Different parts of the mind and body are involved in those different activities.
And Gilles mentioned that, like, over the years, the different incarnations of this group, have had anthologies published from writers in the group, Downtown Eastside Writers Group, and then before it was a Thursday Writing Collective. There's a chapbook in the process. You're taking submissions now, and then it's going to be published soon, this year sometime.
Yeah, I've pretty much finished taking in submissions. That's pretty much done, and I'm putting it all together. And myself and a couple of other people from the group have done a lot of editing. We've stopped meeting because of this coronavirus thing, but I don't know. I've still got a little bit of editing to do in terms of what order I put the poems in and all that. We've got financing for publishing the book. So yeah, it's progressing really, really well. But this, like I say, this self-isolation thing has kind of slowed things down a bit. But it slowed the whole world down. So we're not any exception there.
So Gilles, a lot of people are sitting at home. They can check out the Downtown Eastside Writers Group. There's a Facebook group.
Yeah, there is a Facebook group, but I need somebody to help me to keep up the Facebook page. I'm not very good at that social media stuff. So yeah, there's some stuff on there, and I don't know how up to date it is. But if there's anybody out there who wants to become part of this group and help us with social media, that would be great. And the other thing too, if you Google my name, Gilles Cyrenne, there's an interview that comes up that I did with Community TV, which talks a little bit more about Carnegie Community Center, the Downtown East Side, and the writing group.
Okay, they just Google. Can you spell your name for the listeners again?
Okay, yeah, it's Gilles, Gilles, and last name Cyrenne.
Okay, and it's on YouTube, right? Well, it's online.
Yeah, it's online on YouTube. Yeah.
So listeners sitting at home, looking for things to do, pull out a pen and paper, a pad. I'm sure there's a lot of things people are doing. They may be drawing, painting.
Yeah.
Things they haven't touched for a while, maybe since high school or college, and try doing a free write. Like, I notice a lot of people are stuck inside, they're bottled up, and kind of you can be preoccupied with some negativity. Just writing's a way to unload, right, Gilles? Like, people should try it.
Yeah, totally. Like it's I think in some ways it saved my life. Like, even before, I always wanted to write all my life, but I didn't get started doing a lot of it till I joined Thursday's Writing Collective about 5 years ago. But even back before, I was doing a lot of writing whenever, I don't know, if I had something traumatic happen in my life, like, relationship difficulties and stuff like that, I would often isolate and write about it. And I found that really helpful. Yeah. So, a good, if you want a writing prompt, just, write down 2 words, I remember, and then write for 10 minutes and see what happens.
And a lot of people are obviously sitting at home, which we encourage till this thing blows over. The healthcare workers are overwhelmed, and we pray for their safety and well-being. The healthcare workers on the front line, the nurses, doctors.
Yeah. So we're going to stay home, stay safe, and the less contagion we do, the less we spread this thing. Flatten the curve, so to speak, so that we don't get a huge peak that overwhelms the health system. And if we can keep it down to a dull roar, so that our hospitals and doctors and nurses don't get all completely burned out, that's really good. And I think in Canada we're doing a pretty good job of self-isolating and doing that. And we're hoping that within about 10 days or 2 weeks, we should be able to see the results of see how well all that is working, and then carry on from there.
Yeah, for sure.
But one of the good things about all of this, silver lining, so-called, is satellite images are showing that the levels of pollution on the planet are going way down.
Oh, yeah.
So
I noticed that.
That's going to slow down global warming a little bit. So it seems to happen whenever recessions seem to be good for the environment. And the other thing that I'm liking, I've studied economics a little bit, that they're generating all this money now, and it's not going to go to the corporations. It's actually going to directly into people's hands. So they're doing what they call quantitative easing, which is basically creating money out of nothing, which is what the credit system does, and giving the money directly to the people instead of giving it to corporations to buy stock options back and enrich their already overly rich executives. So the money's going directly, into unemployment insurance and into people's hands to buy food and pay rent. So that's a big shift in how economics have been done traditionally. So I'm kind of happy about that. And, it takes a crisis to bring people to their senses sometimes. And I think partially this coronavirus is doing some of that. Unfortunately, it takes a lot of people getting sick and dying before we smarten up sometimes. But we'll see what happens. We'll see if the economic policies that are being changed as a result of it and the environment getting better is going to somehow or another become a long-term effect.
Yeah, I've been to India recently, and the pollution can be pretty bad. So now that's kind of an issue they don't have to deal with, like especially in New Delhi, and there's other cities in India. Yeah, unfortunately, like you said, it had to take something like this. Thanks, Jill, for taking the time to do this interview. I know you're preoccupied with family and worrying about family like we all are. And everybody just be positive and just keep a social distance, stay inside and go out when you need to, or you can walk around on your balcony or in your yard or.
Yeah, no, I go for a walk down the Crab Park and walk along the waterfront, and people are very respectful. People create distances as they're walking. Nobody walks towards you or at you. Everybody seems to be quite aware of what's going on. And I wear a mask, so that all helps. And you look after yourself, take good care of your health, and we'll get through this, and we may come out of it, better than what we were going in, hopefully.
Thank you so much, Gilles. We were just speaking to Gilles Cyrenne, the coordinator for the Downtown Eastside Writers Group at the Carnegie Center on Main and Hastings.
When things are normal, we meet Thursday afternoons at 2. Okay, thanks a lot, Nick. Thanks for doing this.
If I've been subjective, I stand corrected. You're a shooting star. They blaze the trail across my opal heart. High times, last night, spending the day in your room. We don't tell a soul about what we do. All around London Bridge, the bells rang out for you. Tell me what a mortal man like me supposed to do. Even if I can't explain it here, even if I can't contain it, it's true. And after the summer, you played Joe Strummer on a phonograph and read me bedtime tales from Sylvia Plath. All around London Bridge, the bells rang out for you. Tell me what a mortal man like me supposed to do. Even if I can't explain it here, even if I can't contain it, it's true. A backyard reception, your chin in your palm. You drop down from heaven just at the right time. I guess I saw London Bridge in your deep eyes, under the blue skies, under the blue skies. All around London Bridge, the bells rang out for you. Tell me what a mortal man like me supposed to do. Even if I can't explain it here, even if I can't contain it, it's true.